Libertarians are naturally skeptical of how government power is wielded, especially skeptical of those empowered to take away the personal liberty of other citizens. This has never been more true than the current environment in which new technology has brought to light the worst behaviors of out-of-control law enforcement officers. Having served as a police officer for 11 years in South Broward County, Florida until 2021, I recognize that these cases highlight what I believe to be an overarching problem in law enforcement, a police culture which, broadly speaking, emphasizes police control and dominance over public safety and individual rights. Changing police culture is, like any other cultural transformation, a long-term and multifaceted project, but one that can be accelerated by a handful of changes that we could make right now. As a career-long free market economist before becoming a cop, I believe the objective must be to make police work more like other industries in which people are held accountable, incentivized for excellence. The good ones are paid more, the mediocre paid less, and the bad ones are removed. Such reform must begin with ending qualified immunity, so as to send the signal that court deference to officers has gone too far, and denying victims the right to seek redress in court is just plain un-American. The next step is to require officers to be bonded by liability insurance, like malpractice insurance carried by surgeons, at their own expense, so as to create a private sector third-party check on police adherence to best practices. The key to the success of such a plan is to avoid the roadblocks set up by public sector unions or local politicians. Ending qualified immunity is a federal matter and not a silver bullet, as it doesn't affect most cases. Requiring officers to be bonded should be handled at the state level. But local politicians have an important role to play in changing law enforcement culture. They must negotiate with police unions to make themselves and other representatives of our communities more involved with police hiring, training, disciplining, and firing. Local leaders must work toward incentivizing officers for excellence, as well as ending dangerous practices like serving no-knock warrants and constitutional affronts like civil asset forfeiture. Nor is ending qualified immunity the only change that needs to be made at the federal level. In my view, we should break up the FBI, assigning its various functions to the Department of Defense, which has much less incentive to spy on Americans, and state police agencies, which have less incentive to get involved with national politics and typically have better reputations for public trust and less history of political corruption. We should replace the FBI with a smaller agency tasked with providing a check on our state and local authorities to protect our individual rights. Getting the law enforcement culture that we want will require hard work and patience. In fairness, we're already going in the right direction. So much so that I was able to observe improvement even during my relatively brief career. But accelerating progress will not be accomplished with slogans like defund the police or support the blue. If you really want to support the blue, as I do, we'll have to rely on free market principles, reduce federal intervention, and decentralize community control.